when you think about this with other Disney movies, it becomes clearer. You wouldn't remake Mulan with an Irish princess. You wouldn't say, oh, no, it doesn't matter. You can recast any type of, looking person and it's okay. You wouldn't remake Pocahontas with an Italian princess. That wouldn't make sense. And so, if Ariel is Danish, if Ariel has the characteristics she has, we identify her at least by her red hair, then it doesn't make sense to change that. The left is incoherent on this point because they want to have both sides of the argument. So the left opposes racial and cultural appropriation. Heaven forfend you dress up like Moana for Halloween. Heaven forfend you wear a sombrero on Cinco de Mayo. That would be cultural appropriation. Except they support the appropriation of white cultures. So the cultures that we would generally describe as white, they say they don't really have any particular characteristics. They can be appropriated by anybody. The left also stokes racial consciousness for every single racial group. They encourage it. They love racial consciousness. They think that it will get them a lot more votes and a lot more political power. But then they condemn the racial consciousness of Europeans. You had at that MAGA hat-wearing Covington Catholic high school kid, when he was in Washington, D.C., he's standing there. He was approached by a group of black supremacists. They're a group called the Hebrew Israelites. They viciously hate white people. They hate every group other than their own. And they have these kind of cockamamie theories about how they are the real Jews and the Jews are some awful, evil, fake Jews or something, whatever. The point is, they're black supremacists. How did the mainstream media describe them? Civil rights activists. They're not civil rights activists. Their rhetoric is exactly the same as the Ku Klux Klan, but for black people. Exactly the same. They have the same sorts of theories. They want the same sorts of political goals. But whereas the media rightly condemns the Klan, the media loves stoking racial consciousness and racial resentment among every other group. The other side of this is multiculturalism. Multiculturalism seeks to distinguish every single culture, except for most European cultures, which it sees as generic and universal. So they'll say, no, white characters don't have any particular characteristics. Stories that have white characters don't need to have white characters. The race doesn't matter at all. You could throw anybody in there. But for characters that have stories that have non-white characters, you could throw any race in there. This issue is really pronounced because of America. So the United States is predominantly a creedal country. We were founded by settlers from the Netherlands and from England, and to lesser degrees from France and Spain. We always were interacting with natives, and we were importing black slaves, and America, from the very beginning, has been multiracial. This is not true of other countries. What has bound America together since not just 1776, but since 1620 are ideas. The ideas that sent the Pilgrims to Plymouth and the ideas that launched the American Revolution. The same is not true in Europe. Britain, France, Italy, Denmark are not creedal countries. They're not countries founded on an idea. They're countries founded on people. And there have been migratory movements over the years, and that is the story of those countries. They're founded on people. You cannot just move to England and become English. I'm descended from Englishmen. I can't even move to England and become English. I'm not. I'm American and I look a little too Italian. You can't do it. We don't recognize how special it is that people can just sort of become Americans. It's unbelievable that you can come here and within, 5 or 10 years, just be American. Even less, frankly. And ironically, it's the same leftists who indict America as the worst, most racist place on earth. They are the ones who are most oblivious to America's unique racial tolerance.